Okay, hello, welcome back to another game of chess. Today we're playing e4 as per flipping usual. We're playing d4 against a Pitts. I'm going to go for... Hold on, I need to slow down. The momentum of introing this video is taking me into places that I'm not very comfortable, i.e. playing my opening at 100 miles an hour and then probably getting a resulting bad position. I need to think about what the hell is my opponent doing here. Are they going to try and play a cow? Or, far more likely, are they going to play knight to f6, g6, bishop g7, castle, play some kind of Pittsy, hyper-modern-y, or rather just modern, excuse me, King's Indian-esque, I don't really know, maybe an e5 break. I think I'm going to go for knight c3. Okay, brilliant. Oh, is this the... Okay, there is this, like, system with this, and honestly, that's basically all I'm going to say about it. That extremely ambiguous and vague bit of speech right there. There is a system like this. I've just seen, like, maybe queen c7, and you play for a very quick b5. I bet you we see b5 next. Do you know what? Should I play a4? Didn't really, spend enough time thinking about that. But I reckon if we go into the analysis of this game, which we will, of course, after I win it, I mean, 100%, I've never lost a game of chess. I bet you the most common move in the database is b5, or that's at least, non-trivially played. I think it's an idea to go for a quick c6, b5. This a4, not something I'd normally play, but does immediately stop that. And now, okay, we're in some interesting territory. You've pushed your c and a pawn, b6 as a whole. Maybe let's get here. Maybe let's get the bishop looking like this and maybe exploiting that. Although, I don't know, do you just do this? Hold on, no, because then surely I have this. You take here. Ooh, I actually don't know what's going on there at all. Maybe I should just develop. Maybe I should develop my pieces. You know what? Bishop c4. You don't have this right now. You can play e5. This just looks so wrong to me, but unfortunately I don't think it's that exploitable. I mean, I kind of respect it. It's vaguely interesting with black, and at least you're striking at the center. I kind of want to play knight f3, but I also, as that little premature arrow dictates. My opponent's used 5 seconds, by the way. Okay, hold on. I might want to play f4 at some point. So do you know what? Knight g2. We're gonna strike a balance there between playing knight f3 and allowing f4. We're gonna use this move to serve the purpose of defending this pawn, being able to recapture inwards with the knight here, and say, right, I'm gonna get to castle. I'm gonna get a very quick f4. Sure, you can go for this and castle yourself. I feel as though, hello. That's a question. That's a semi-difficult question that you've got to answer. No? Is it not? Maybe it's not. Maybe that doesn't pose a remotely difficult question at all. I did think that surely I could push past with f4, which by I mean f5, excuse me. And maybe we just really restrict development. Maybe we go h3, g4, g5. Maybe we go for a kingside pawn storm despite being castled on the king side, which is an idea that I've always found fascinating. I've never really incorporated it that well into many of my games. I'm a big sort of castle queenside and then kingside pawn storm kind of guy, but in King's Indian type setups, in this stuff where, you do actually push all the pawns in front of your own king in a same-side castling position to still be able to create that kind of pawn storm. And I think it's generally predicated on this kind of closure here, having this, stopping you from really, like this bishop, neither of your bishops have any legal moves right now. This knight, I guess, can go to b6, sure. Where else is it going? They take, okay. Now I can bring this in, or do I play queen takes? I don't know, actually. That's a genuinely interesting question. Maybe I want my knight in here. It might get kicked either way. Let's just play knight takes. It seems a little more principled. I don't think I want to just get the queen out and walk into a bishop on f6, etc. very quickly. They do pivot the knight out to e5, which is a hole, of course. I have maybe, to some extent, overextended that f5 pawn, but also, sure, I can just bring the knight back and get rid of that, right? Yeah, it comes with tempo on my bishop right now. I could play b3 and let you take and have a Marozzi bind on the d5 square. I don't hate that at all, but I think I prefer actually keeping the bishop here, especially because you can't sort of counteract it with your own bishop on e6. I really dominate the e6 square, which is a square that I have no right to be dominating, but I do. So I'd like to make use of that. Should my bishop go back to a2? Should my bishop go back to a3? Which by I mean b3. Flipping out. My intuition is just always to get the bishop as far away as possible while still being as effective as possible, It's just not tempo for anything. There's never any c4 that then bothers me with the bishop on b3, let's say. But it would become a problem if I had to push my b pawn. But then again, if my bishop on b3, I can't push the b pawn anyway. Right. I'm going to go back to a2. There's something very pleasant to me about having a bishop sort of maximally far away here. Maybe I shouldn't have done that because maybe I should be in the way and preventing this from being a problem. But here, which by me, excuse me, here. Obviously, I don't like this. But bishop e3, you take here. Why? Yeah, maybe my bishop should have been on b3. Bishop e3 takes. This is hanging. I can just play queen here. Hold on, do I not then get like rook here as a threat, just trapping the queen? I very much might. I very much might. Interesting stuff. Okay. Bishop e3 here, queen d2. I'm going to trap the queen with rook b1, unless no, because you have queen a3, excuse me. But then if rook b1, queen a3, I have bishop f7. Nice. Okay. Right, this is starting to speak to me, I believe. Unless you just hit me with this. Or this. Oh, man, that's quite upsetting, actually. What an idiot. Luckily, I don't actually have to stay on this diagonal. My queen is holding the knight right now. So what I can hopefully get away with is having just messed up here, move the bishop, kick the knight, and then put the bishop back here, possibly. I don't want to let this bishop get traded. I'm genuinely just going to move it, kick it, and then put it straight back there, I think. Now I'm controlling h3, or in that scenario I would be. Now, you see, you'd imagine that if at this point they take... Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'm threatening rook b1, queen a3, bishop f7, and thank you very much for your queen. So, you've got to move the queen all the way back, I think. You don't want to go here straight away because I just get this straight away. So you've got to go all the way back to b6. Fine. But I'm holding this and I still have rook b1. Or I could play rook a b1, actually. Now that we're clearly not trying to trap the queen, we're just trying to kind of get her off our case, I guess. Rook b1 kind of seems like a no-brainer here. Rook a b1. Like, what's the rook doing on the a file? We've got the rook now on the semi-open b file. This rook's probably quite well placed here on the f file. I'm sure I'm slightly misplaying this, but also I have a lot of activity and I can now maybe start rolling forward with some tempo. Do you know what? Do you know what? The game plan that I mentioned of trying to play h3, g4, g5, maybe we've been given tempo to do exactly that. Maybe you still can't really move this bishop out here. Maybe this is a real annoying thorn in your side. Maybe my bishop's fantastic. Maybe my rook's fantastic. Maybe, just maybe, everything's going to be absolutely fantastic forever. I think that's a direct quote from maybe Jez in Peep Show. I don't know. Okay, we're playing g4. Let's go for it. You know, I feel like you've got a major developmental problem. I feel like these pieces can't really move. Your bishops have like one move each. Your rooks have a couple moves each and they all suck. Your queen doesn't really have much mobility. Your knights, they're probably quite good. Especially this knight on e5 is definitely your best piece. But they play h6, stopping me from going for g5. Do I perhaps dare to dream of a little sneaky sacrifice here? I don't see the imminent follow-up because I don't even have queen g6 as a threat because this is pinned, but the knight also does defend this. So actually, I was thinking of pivoting a knight in, but also maybe I just step across and play this and play g5. I think I kind of want to do this. I'm worried a little bit that they're going to be able to push this, get the bishop on this diagonal. I'm also worried if I go here though, and then bring this away, and then they can kick this and then like fork me here. Feels like it sucks. I'm also worried that I'm going to run out of time, and that's probably a far more pressing issue. We're doing a lot of worrying here. King h1 or king g, or rather, sorry, king h2. I like this. I like putting a rook on the g file. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm seeing ghosts with this idea. This seems more imminently pressing. If you do start going for this, fine, but I've got a few moves before that seems to be a problem, I guess. And I can always presumably reactively go to h2. Okay. Fine. Wait, hold on. Is there just still a fork here after c5? I can always take, whatever, sure. c5 takes, and then I can move the knight and I'm fine. Now g5. Because how on earth can I possibly say no? And do I go like this? Hold on. I take a nice sip of my electrolyte beverage. You need to stay hydrated in games like these. Taking with the rook feels more like threatening immediately. Taking with the bishop, maybe I get in here. I'm taking with the rook. I want to be able to stack the rooks. The g file's now open. Again, you're shut off kind of here. You might have this, but I'm going to do this, and then you do this, and then whatever. Hold on. What are you doing here? g6. Oh. It has to be. It just has to be, mate. It just has to be. I could have taken the knight first. Why on earth would I want to? Ah, so I can get in here with the queen. That might have made a lot of sense. Bishop takes e5 might have been a way better move there, but intriguing decision. Hold on, I have check. This is your only move. Then what exactly do I do? Maybe I do this to start with. Because then I pin this temporarily. You've got to recapture. And then I have check with the queen. And then I have check with the queen. And I do believe, unless I'm sorely mistaken, that is not just check with the queen, but checkmate with the queen. Whoa. Whoa. Just before we get into the analysis segment of that gorgeous game, I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video, chessreps.com. Are you getting a little bored of your repertoire, but just too stuck in your ways, worried that if you change something up, you're going to start losing, you're going to start from scratch all over again? Fear not. The Chess Reps opening website boasts plenty of detailed yet digestible courses that you can basically get done in a day if you're a real grinder. They'll provide you with a pretty good understanding of some key ideas and some key lines in your chosen opening. Once you've learned them, you can master them, you can practice them. If I shove myself over here, you can see that there's a drill function, there's a racing against the clock function, you can do puzzles particular to the positions that arise from these openings. And all in all, as I return to my rightful place over in the bottom right corner, dip your toes into a new opening. The UI is super clean and easy to use. If you fancy checking it out, the link is in the description. Thank you to Chess Reps for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to the analysis of that gorgeous game. Okay, so here we are in the analysis with apparently an 89% accurate game, 2 mistakes but no blunders, a couple inaccuracies which I hope that I will be able to justifiably wear as badges of honor. Sometimes inaccuracies truly are my favorite moves. If this video gets 1 million views, I will get an inaccuracy symbol tattooed somewhere on my body. Maybe the top comment can decide, maybe not, that's not a promise. However, once I garnered some kind of serious advantage, apparently I let it slip slightly with this rook g. Oh, really? No, but then... Okay, yeah, once it got to like outside of +3, I kind of kept it roughly there and then apparently mated. You know what? That was pretty sick, pretty slick. I think we're going to go from the top, e4. They went for a pit, and I'm interested to see if my a4 idea, I've remembered, thank God. Often I say some stuff, wait, hold on, this is the rat defense. I've always heard of the rat. I've never actually been well acquainted with the rat, I don't believe. But I guess this is the rat. How often is this played in the Masters database? This is actually played 285 times. Fantastic. It's the Antal defense, rat defense though. So I wonder what the actual rat defense is. Is there like a more OG rat defense? Well, there can't be, right? Because d4, d6 is just, what is that, the Horvitz, or is that e6? The hell's going on? What is the rat? I don't understand what the rat is. I guess this is just the rat Antal defense, but I thought the rat was something more particular. Maybe there's other lines. Anyway, knight c3 seems to be not the Masters top move, but 30% of Masters play it. In the Lichess database, it is the top move. I liked going for this flexible idea just because if you now start going for this setup, knight f6, g6, bishop g7, kingside castles, etc., f3 instead of knight f3 is going to be very potent to allow me to start going for my pawn storm, defending this, playing bishop e3. It's just a setup that I prefer, and so I like to be more flexible with knight c3 here. Very commonly, apparently, they go for e5, but... Oh, wait, hold on. Excuse me. You guys can't actually see... Right, I hope none of what I just said was contingent on you being able to see the top move in the database, but I'm going to creep my way up here. Listen, that isn't... Oh, I'm going sideways. Hold on. Let's bring it back down. Excuse me. Okay, now you should be able to see everything properly. My bad. E5 is the most common move here in the Lichess database. In the Masters database, it is as well. C6, though, this idea to then maybe, I do believe, let's say knight f3. Let's say just the natural knight f3. Okay, so I'm completely off. b5 is played 1% of the time. What the hell? Oh, it's also played once in the Masters database, so I'll take that. I really thought a quick b5 was on the cards here. I think an eventual b5 is definitely on the cards. What if, like, just bishop e3? Yeah, again, b5 is hardly played. Okay, in which case, I was probably seeing Ghost trying to be a little too clever playing a4 here. A4 is actually a completely fine move, though. Like, it barely loses any advantage objectively. It just prevents you eventually playing b5. I do believe that eventually they would have gone for this b5 idea, had I not played a4, of course, because c6... I mean, you're not playing c6 to play d5. You're not playing some kind of really delayed Caro-Kann setup. So I'd imagine, had the game continued something vaguely along the lines of knight f3. Oh, it's queen c7, right? And then maybe you go for b5 ideas? So bishop d3? No, still 1% of the time. Dude, why do I suck at chess this badly? I thought I was being clever here. I guess basically they could have just quickly mobilized a pawn storm if I tried to castle queenside. Anyway, we're moving on from this idea. I'm getting a little obsessed with this. They go for e5. I go for knight g to e2. We are still in 58 Lichess games. I highly doubt we're in any master games. Okay, we'll close the database, and you know what? We'll return my face cam to its rightful place. Slap bang in the middle. It's actually not slap bang in the middle, but it lines up with the times on the Lichess board. Anyway, we'll look objectively here. They go for bishop here. I castle. I really like knight here just because, you know, the flexibility to play f4. I then went for f4, which was one of the inaccuracies, which that one's a badge of honor. That one is being worn. I'm touching where I would wear it as a badge of honor. That one's being worn as a badge of honor. It's very aggressive, hardly gives up any objective evaluation. The punishing idea, so to speak, is to take. And then, you know, knight takes, and okay, great, you can play d5. And then I take, and then here, and then I guess the bishop goes back, and then I guess you can recapture, and then here, and then here, and Yeah, sure, fine. I mean, they're not exactly playing for much advantage there. I really like this idea of going for f4, f5. I don't know, it seemed like a pretty decent idea. They should have played for d5 though, and now I'm seeing that, I'm actually realizing maybe this was a little bit dodgy. Just because if they did go, okay, apparently it likes rook e8 as well, but if they did go for d5, I can't just like push past or anything because of course it defended and also there's tempo on here. And if I take, I kind of lose the potency of this pawn being here. I mean, maybe not, but hold on, if takes, can I... No, there's no way I can do this. You just take, obviously, okay, because this is hanging in the end, and also there's a queen trade. I just, you know, I always dream of ideas like that, and sometimes they work, and that's why sometimes I play some pretty cool games. Anyway, yeah, I'd have had to take, and then I'd have had to just go back after knight b6. I didn't see d5, knight b6 being a break that would then allow them to kind of, you know, just untangle their knights a little, so fair enough. That would have been, I guess, the more accurate idea. However, they brought their knight into the hole on e5, which looks like it makes a lot of sense. My bishop goes right back, and then I should have gone king h1. Bishop here was a mistake, because again, flipping d5. Apparently, yeah, I just didn't understand this pawn break at any point during this game. Or like, okay, of course, if you'd asked me, I'd be aware that this is a pawn break, but I guess it just kind of slipped my notice. I thought, for some reason, that I was real strong here. I think it's because when I've played this kind of setup before, I've had a pawn on d3, and so with d5, I can kind of like allow them to take and recapture and stay relatively stable here, maybe. I just really wasn't thinking about d5, which, you know what, hopefully I can take this in the future. Those central pawn breaks, especially with these like c6, d6 ideas, where it's not so obvious that you're now going to make the pawn break. I don't know, there seems like there's a small gap in my understanding there that I'll hopefully be able to close up using the glue that this game is. Extended that metaphor way too far. Bishop f4, best move. They take here, queen d2, of course. We're threatening if you just go, let's say bishop here, to go, I believe, rook b1. Queen here's the best move, but if you go here, we're going to be able to do this. Obviously, you want to be able to give up the queen for the rook, and then I guess get the open a file as well. But we were clearly threatening to trap the queen, so they go all the way back. I bring the rook across, queen goes back, and we're in a position here with roughly zero. I mean, it's roughly equal, but kick the knight, of course. G4 top move, please? Why is king h1 the top move? Why the hell could you not just give me g4 top move? Right, no one cares. G4, extraordinarily aggressive. King h1 first, maybe to then play rook here and then prep g4. Sure. I like taking the opportunity to play g4, maybe before they could play h5, I don't really know. But they go h6, stopping me immediately from going for g5. I could still have gone for g5. The sack would have been okay, objectively. If you play slowly, you get, oh, g5, obviously, okay. If you go here, I get to go f6 and you have to sack. Interesting. Huh. Maybe I should have gone for the sack, although they could have found equality there. Honestly, I think the idea of playing king h1... Actually, okay, king h1 best move, I'm actually stockfish. We'll take the chess is stockfish confirmed. I mean, playing king to h1 when it's the best move, that is one of the more mature feelings you can ever have. At this point, the bishop sacrifice to then probably play g5 later would have made a lot of sense. Bishop takes here, here. The best move is apparently queen d8. I go there, here, maybe. And if you go back here, you just get it with g6. And if you... Oh, you see, even I forgot about my own bishop here. I'm telling you, there's a reason you put the bishop all the way as far back as possible. And maybe it's hope chess, maybe there's some psychological aspect to it. But genuinely, people forget, man, as MMA Guru would say. I don't know what the Venn diagram of MMA Guru and Will Taylor chess watchers are, but I'm sure there'll be a few of you that was a great joke for. Anyway, yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Getting rid of this and then going g5, g6, fair enough. Missed that idea, but rook g1, inaccurate. Can't really wear that one as a badge of honor because I did have bishop h6. Unfortunate. Still a cool move though, because now we're playing g5. Now this is a problem. I could have taken here first, and then after pawn takes... What the hell? Excuse me? Do I just play queen? Oh my lord, hold on. Pawn takes queen g5. Knight e8, and I just win a bishop? You win this? The hell's going on here? Queen h4? You take another knight? I sack my... Okay. Get lost. How about that? How about that for an idea? How about I'm going to take here. I'm going to, after you play b5, eventually b5. I mean, this idea of b5, I was so concerned about it early on. When they played it, it was absolutely terrible. I should have sacked first. Or not sacked, sorry, but traded first. I think I mentioned that maybe. Maybe I was vaguely... no, maybe I was thinking earlier, actually, about bishop takes. Either way, they could have gone for this and maybe take like this and slowed some stuff down. Instead, g6, and oh, look. It's that sniper bishop out of nowhere from Z26 or whatever it is. Whatever the meme is these days. Whatever the kids are. We take here, of course. It's mate in 6. We take... They move the king. Bishop e5, best move. Queen h6 and checkmate. Thanks very much. We round the game off with Alekhine's gun on the g-file. Now, I don't know whether technically Alekhine's gun needs to have the queen at the back, but every single major piece on the g-file, when the g-file's open, clearly that's not going to end well. Thank you guys immensely for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you want to see more like it, please feel free to check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. There are 30, maybe 31 at the time of this release, videos up there, just like the one you've seen of me absolutely sourcing people in Tenno Rapid, aiming to not only entertain, of course, but hopefully to maybe teach you a little bit about chess at the same time. The Patreon videos are among the finest that Will Taylor Chess has to offer, so if you fancy supporting the channel, if you fancy getting an absolute catalogue of videos in return, and your name on the esteemed patron scroll at the end of all my videos, and for loyal patrons, a discount from anything that I sell on the Patreon, then check out the link in the description. If you're not remotely interested, your viewership is nonetheless immensely appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.